Hello, welcome back, friends. We are doing lesson 7 for Wit and Wisdom, so let's get busy. All right, so we're going to do some noticing and wondering about the cover. Today we're going to read another Cinderella story, and this is the book. It's called Cindrillin by Robert D. Sanssouci, and it's illustrated by Brian Pinkney, and it is a Caribbean Cinderella. This is what it looks like. I'm gonna let you look at it really carefully. Okay, that's the front. There's the back. Okay, so I've shown you the front and back covers. What did you notice about the text? Well, I noticed that there is a woman holding a stick with the light at the end of it. Do you see that? I also noticed it looks like there's water in the background. It's like they're at the ocean or the sea. I also noticed Cindrillin, the title here, sounds a little like Cinderella. And the title at the bottom says it's a Caribbean Cinderella. The back shows 2 pink slippers with red flowers on them. And the illustrations here on the front and the back show a lot of detail and are very colorful, aren't they? They sure are. All right. Now, does anything in this text remind you of text that we've read before? Let's think about that. What do you wonder about this text? There's another think question also. Well, I wonder if that stick is a magic wand. I also want to know, where does this story take place? Where's the setting of it? And who is that beautiful woman in the blue dress? And why are those shoes on the back pink? Because didn't Cinderella have glass slippers? And is this story going to be a lot like Cinderella? Good questions. So our focus question is, why do people admire Perrault's Cinderella? And our content framing, what is happening in Cindrillin? So as you listen to this new version of a Cinderella story, which elements of a Cinderella story do you think may be included in this? Well, let's think about that. Do you think there's going to be good and evil characters? Or a magical element? Possibly, because we saw that wand on the front cover, didn't we? And maybe the proof of identity might be those pink slippers. Like the proof of identity in Cinderella was the glass slipper. In this one, it might be those pink slippers that were on the back cover. Okay. Well, I am going to cut this off for a moment. I'm going to go ahead and move it to our next one. All right. Because I am going to read Cindrillin to you all, and that way you guys can see the pictures. All right, so let's make it go back some. Cindrillin by Robert D. Sanssouci. You may think you know the story I'm going to tell you, but you have not heard it for true. I was there, so I will tell you the truth of it, here and now. Cindrillin a Caribbean tale. A castle in the background. Wow. I live on a green island in the so blue Meredith Antilles, the Caribbean Sea. Long ago, when I was a child, my family was poor. When my mother died, she left me only one thing, a wand of mahogany. 3 taps will change one thing into another, my mother had whispered, but only for a short time, and the magic must be used to help someone you love. Of what use was this to an orphan like me who every day struggled to find shelter and fill her belly? I could not use the wand. I had no one to love and no one who loved me. When I grew up, I worked as a blancheuse, a washerwoman scrubbing other people's sheets and shirts at the riverside, drying them in the sun. One woman I worked for was kind. I often nursed her, for she was always sickly, poor creature. In thanks, she made me the Nannan, godmother of her baby girl, Cindrillin. When I held that baby in my arms on her christening day, I felt such love, and I saw love return from her sweet brown eyes. Alas, Cindrillin's mamma died soon after this. Then her papa, Monsieur, married again. Madame Prosperine was a cold woman and puffed up, proud because her grandfather had come from France. Now, when a new daughter, Vitaline, was born, Madame gave christening party for her rich friends. What a feast it was! Madame and the other fine ladies were dressed in satin and velvet and all the colors of the rainbow. They laughed at my worn white skirts and peasant way of speaking. Pretty Cindrillin came and kissed me. Bonjour, Nannan. She gave me a cup of punch. Her hands were blistered and red. Pauvre Cindrillin, poor little child, what have you done to yourself? She shrugged. My father's wife works me like a serving girl, and Monsieur allows this. Sighing, she said, he fears Madame, but I am strong. The work hurts my hands, but not my heart. Someday I will find a way to help. Even as I spoke them, my words sounded hollow. What could I, a poor washerwoman, do for my dearest? When she was older, Cindrillin would come to the river each morning to do the family's laundry. Her sweet bonjour was music. Her smile was sunshine, even when clouds hid the sun. We knelt beside the other Blanchesses and talked and sang and laughed as we scrubbed the clothes. Cindrillin seemed so happy. I wish that I could always see her so. Nothing was easy for her at home. Madame and spoiled Vital ate dainties. Cindrillin often had only a handful of manioc flour and tail ends of codfish. All day she worked. At night she slept on a hard straw pallet. Then one day she came sad-faced to the river. No singing or joking to make her smile. I asked, "What troubles you so, my child?" "There is a ball tonight, but I am to go," she said, looking so miserable. My heart nearly snapped in two. Vitaline and Mama will go, but Mama says I am lazy. "Does it mean so much to you, this ball?" "Oh, yes, Nannan," she cried. "It's a birthday fit for Paul, Monsieur Theobald's son. He is so handsome and well spoken. He is like a prince, but yet he is so kind." "Do not cry, dear one," I said, hugging her. "Tonight you will go to the ball." "For true?" "Upon my soul, I promise this," I said, though I was fearful of risking so much when I had no plan. A smile lightened my heart, and as she gathered up her laundry, I heard her singing. Long after she left, at watching the river. How am I to keep my promise? I asked myself. When I could think of no answer, I prayed to Bondi, good God, and he answered because I began to think what I must do. It was dark when I reached home. I took my mother's wand from myself and hurried to my sweet friend Cindrillin. What a hubble bubble at the house. Cindrillin's papa stood on the porch holding his gold watch while the coachman waited beside the family carriage. We are late, Monsieur said, as if the fault belonged to me. Inside, Madame and Vitaline were shouting, Cindrillin, find my shoulder scarf. Cindrillin, comb my hair. I helped arrange Madame's gown while Cindrillin combed Vitaline's hair. Finally, they were away. Riddance. Upon the instant, I told Cindrillin, now you will go to the ball. But I have no carriage, she protested. I have no gown. Go into the garden and pick a fruit of pain, I said. The child looked at me as if I thought, my poor Nanan has gone mad. But she found a big round breadfruit. I tapped it 3 times. 1, 2, 3. 2, 2, with my wand, and it became a gilded coach. So far, so good. Cindrillin gasped, but I told her, do not waste your breath on questions. We still have much. 2. 6 aguettes in a cage became 6 splendid carriage horses. 2. 5 brown field lizards became 5 tall footmen. 2. A plump manico was changed to a coachman. Then I tapped Cindrillin. Boom. Her poor calico dress was changed to a trailing gown of sky blue velvet. Upon her head sat a turban just as blue, pinned with a tremblant pin of gold. She had a silk shoulder scarf of pale rose, rings in her ear, bracelets, and a necklace of 4 strands of gold beads bigger than these. Upon her feet were elegant pink slippers embroidered with roses. It was enough to hurt my eyes to look at my darling. Finally, I turned my washerwoman's shift into a fine red dress. I would chaperone Cindrillin as suited a proper young lady. Away we went over the bridge through the town along the shore to the grand mansion of Monsieur Thibault. Just before we stepped down from our carriage, I warned Cindrillin, the magic lasts only a short time. We must leave before the midnight bell is rung. Yes, Nanan, she promised. What a grand entrance Cindrillin made. All eyes turned toward her and could not turn away. I heard whispers all around. Who is that pretty girl? Look how fine her clothes are. Did she come from France? Even Cindrillin's stepmother and sister did not recognize the 2 of us, though they peered crossly at us. Then Paul, his eyes blazing with love fire, asked to dance, and he refused to dance with any other. I know. I watched as I ate. Oh, what fine food I helped myself to as I watched the handsome couple, even chocolate sherbet. Cindrillin was so happy, and I was happy seeing her so, that we forgot to mark the time. Suddenly, I heard distant bells striking the first chime of midnight. Astonishing all with my rudeness, I grabbed Cindrillin's hand and cried, it's nearly midnight. We must go. For a moment, I feared she would not obey. Then she turned and we ran toward the door. Paul cried, "Wait, I do not even know your name." He ran after us, but guests and servants, confused by such running and shouting, blocked his way. As it was, we barely escaped to our carriage because Cindrillin stumbled on the stair and she had to leave behind one of her embroidered slippers. Oh, sorry, I didn't show you the picture. Off we sped into the night as I counted the chimes, and the moment I heard the 12th stroke, we found ourselves in the dusty road, beside a smashed breadfruit. Around us, agawits and lizards and a fat manico scurried into the brush. We walked home like two ragged washerwomen. Our fine clothes were gone, all except Cindrillin's one pink slipper. She took it off, saying, "I will keep this to remind me of this wonderful night and a happiness I will never know again." But I said, "I will help you visit Paul again." She shook her head. "I see now that it is not Cindrillin he fell in love with," she said. "He was under the spell of your wand. When the magic goes, the love too will fade from his eye." "Alas," I said, "my plans have come to nothing. I cannot give you the gift of love that would change your life for true." "Dear godmother," she said, kissing my cheek, "you gave me this night. It is enough." I did not see Cindrillin at the river the next day. When I called at the house, I found she was in bed. Madame and Vitaline said she was being lazy, but I saw she was sick with a broken heart. I stroked her brow for a good long time until I heard a great commotion. When I looked for the cause, I found that Paul had arrived. He was followed by a footman carrying Cindrillin's lost pink slipper, a satin pillow. To Madame and Vitaline, he explained, "I am searching for the lovely stranger who was at the fete last night. This is her slipper, and I am asking all unmarried women on the island to try it on. I will wed the one that it fits." From the doorway, I heard Madame say, "My pretty daughter is the only unmarried girl in the house." Then Vitaline and her mama tried to force the girl's big foot with toes like sausages into the slipper. Such grunting and groaning you had never heard. So eager were they, I feared that they would destroy the slipper. "If you cut off those big toes," I called out, "it would be a fine fit." Madame screeched, "Go away, old woman." And I did. Straight back to Cindrillin's room I marched. "Now, child, if you love me," I charged her, "do this one thing for me. Go out into the hall." She drew a shawl around her cotton shift. Barefoot, she went into the hall where panting Madame and sobbing Vitaline had given up the battle of the slipper. But just as Paul was turning to go, I tapped Cindrillin. Toot, toot, toot. With my wand, to the astonishment of all, she appeared as she had at the ball. "No, godmother dear," she said, "no more spells." With a sigh, I touched her again, and she was as before in her shift and shawl. Without hesitation, Paul knelt before her. Gently, he placed the slipper on her foot, and then he said, "You are as beautiful this minute as you were last night." And everyone in the room could see the true love in his eyes. Cindrillin and Paul were soon married after this. Even the King and Queen of France never had such a wedding. The guests ate and danced and sang and ate again for 3 days. I know because I was there. I danced the guaca and ate 9 helpings of chocolate sherbet and came away only to tell you this tale. The end. Okay. So let's get back to our board up here. All right. So we have got a class story map, and we are going to fill in the character and the setting. That might be good if I make it bigger so you can see it, friends. I'm sorry. Okay, what we're going to do is a class story map that we're going to fill in the characters, the setting, and the events before we do the problem and the resolution. All right, so I am going to darken this once more. All right, and I have got a story map here that we are going to use. All right, so this says characters, setting, and events. So let's talk about the characters in this story. Who were the characters in this story? Well, we have Cindrillin, of course. Cindrillin. We also have Nannan, which is the godmother, and I'm going to put godmother out here to the side so we know who that is, okay? We also have Paul, the handsome prince, okay? We also have Monsieur, who is the father, and I'm putting that in parentheses out beside it. We've got Madame, or Mama, which is the mother, okay, or stepmom. All right. And then we've got Vitaline, who is the stepsister. Okay, so those are our characters. We have Cindrillin, Nannan, who's the godmother. We have Paul. We have Monsieur, who's the father. We have Madame and Mama, which is the stepmom. And we've got Vitaline, who is the stepsister. Now, let's talk about setting. Where did this take place? It was around the Caribbean, right? The Caribbean Sea. And we also know it was at Cindrillin's house. And also at Paul's grand mansion. Okay, so our setting, the Caribbean Sea, Cindrillin's house, and Paul's grand mansion. So now let's think about this. We've got some events that take place here. So let's think about what's going on from the beginning to the end with Cindrillin. All right, so I am going to make this go down a little bit for events. So events. I'm going to slide over so I can sit and write. It's easier for me. So Cindrillin's father remarries. Okay, Cindrillan's father remarries. Cindrillan's stepmother is mean to her. Okay. The stepmom will not let her go to the ball. Stepmom will not let her go to the ball. Nanan uses her magic wand to help her go to the ball. When she gets to the ball, Paul and Cindrillin dance together. Cindrillin leaves. When the magic wears off, Cindrillin leaves. Magic wears off. But in that same process, she loses her shoe. Okay. Paul wants to find the woman who lost the shoe. And then the last event, Cindrillin's foot fits the shoe. Okay, so let's look at what we have, starting at the very top, our characters. We have our characters as Cindrillin, Nanan as the godmother. You've got Paul, we've got Monsieur, the father, Madame Mama as the stepmother, and we've got Vitaline, who's the mean stepsister. Our setting is the Caribbean Sea, Cindrillin's house, and Paul's grand mansion. Our events are Cindrillin's father remarries. Cindrillin's stepmom is mean. Stepmom will not let her go to the ball. Nanan uses her magic wand to help her go to the ball. Paul and Cindrillin dance together. Cindrillin leaves. The magic wears off, but she loses a slipper. Paul wants to find the woman who lost the slipper, and Cindrillin's foot fits the shoe. Okay. So now I'm going to move that and put our chart back up. Okay, so what is the problem here? Let's think about that. What is the problem in this story? Fix that here. The problem is Cindrillin is treated badly, isn't she, by her stepmother and her stepsister. That's what the problem is. The resolution. What about the resolution? How is this problem fixed? She gets to marry Paul. That's how her problem is fixed. She marries Paul. All right. So we've already filled in this, but you don't need that. So for the next little bit, it says distribute handout 7A, and I want you to retell the story to your partner. So I'm going to show you what I'm talking about. You have the following items. So let me stop. I'm going to share my screen here. Okay, you're going to use this right here to retell the story. Now, you noticed when I was telling the story, I was holding up a cleaning cloth, I was holding up a wand, I held up a shoe, and I held up a veil, okay? Use these picture cards here to retell the story, all right? And retell it to somebody that you're sitting beside, okay? And make sure to include the setting, the characters, the problem, the events, and the resolution. And I did not say those in order. So just remember to include all the story elements. All right? Okay. So let's go back, stop sharing, go back to my screen. All right, so now we're going to experiment with an opinion paragraph. Remember, we talked about the opinion paragraph structure. It looks a lot like this. Where did I put it? That's a good question. Here it is. It looks like this. Looks like an Oreo cookie. Remember, we have our opinion statement, we have the reasons, and we have our opinion conclusion. Remember, an opinion is what you think. That is an opinion, okay? It's like, I like peanut butter. Now, you know what? I like peanut butter, but maybe Miss Ray doesn't like peanut butter, okay? That's my opinion, and I can give a couple reasons why I like peanut butter. And then my conclusion is where I restate my opinion again down here. This is very similar to our hamburger chart that we had back at the beginning of Wit and Wisdom, okay? So now we're working with opinion on what you think. All right, let's turn it back on again. Doing a lot of turning on and turning off today, which is okay. All right, so I just explained the structure of our paragraph, all right? And we talked about the parts of our paragraph. So you're gonna use handout 7B, and I'm gonna share with you here just 1 second. What I want you to do is, I want you to cut them out and glue them on a piece of paper if you have them. If you don't, you can number them, or actually instead of numbering them, you need to write opinion statement, reasons, or opinion conclusion beside them. Don't number them. I need you to write opinion statement, reasons, or opinion conclusion, all right? So you're gonna put the sentences in order the way they should appear in an opinion paragraph. So let me turn that off, and I'm going to share with you our next screen. All right, we're going to look at this one here. All right, it says handout 7B, Cindrillin opinion paragraph. All right, and it says, cut on the dotted lines and put the parts of the opinion paragraph in the correct sequence. Notice there are only 3 here, okay? So you're either going to write opinion statement, reasons, and opinion conclusion. All right? So look at these 3 sentences. The first one says, that is why the ball scene is the best. The middle one says, Cindrillin has fun dancing with Paul. And the last one, I think the ball scene in Cindrillin is the best scene in the story. So now, I'm not going to put these in order because I want to see you do this, okay? I want to see what you can come up with. So you need your opinion statement, your reason, and your conclusion for your opinion statement, okay? And make sure to write those out beside those sentences unless you decide to make a copy of this and cut it and glue it down on paper, okay? All right. So let's go back. Let me get back up here on the screen. So what is happening in Cindrillin? How did using pictures from the handouts help you retell the story? So we used all of our things, right? We used our cleaning cloth to tell where she worked really hard. We talked about the magic wand that Nana used. We talked about the shoe, the slipper, okay, that was left behind. That was the proof of identity. And we talked about the wedding veils. All right, so those 4 things should help you retell this story when you're telling it to someone else. So, fluency homework check-in. Make sure just to practice your fluency, all right? I did not connect it with this lesson, so don't worry about it right now. So let's look at our deep dive. We're going to talk about how compound sentences with commas work. So let's think about this. How do compound sentences with commas work? So today, what we're going to be doing is we're going to be making simple sentences more interesting by making them compound sentences and using commas to separate the list of things in a sentence. So let's look at these 3 sentences here. Cindrillin was beautiful. Cindrillin was young. Cindrillin was honest. Oh, you can't see that. Well, that might help if I showed. There. Now you can see it. Sorry about that, friends. So, as I was saying, Cindrillin was beautiful. Cindrillin was young. Cindrillin was honest. So how can we combine to make one sentence using commas and conjunctions? Now remember, when we combine simple sentences into a compound sentence, some of the words get left out, all right, because they're not needed. So let's look at this. If I was writing this sentence, I would say, Cindrillin was beautiful, comma, young, comma, and there's my conjunction, honest. Period. Now, I put my commas in here to separate a listing of words, all right? And then I also added a conjunction here. We talked about that last time in our lessons where we have to add a conjunction when we have a list of words. Notice also, I didn't repeat Cindrillin was, because that's already repeated 3 times. I only needed to write it once. and just move those words into one sentence to make it a compound sentence. So let's look at the next area here. We have, will you wear the red shoes to the ball? Will you wear the blue shoes to the ball? Will you wear the yellow shoes to the ball? How can we combine to make one sentence using commas and conjunctions? Well, we know will you wear the is in all the sentences. So we're going to use that as our starter. Will you wear the, okay, so now let's look. This one says red shoes. This one says blue shoes and yellow shoes. So we're going to add all three of these to our sentence. Will you wear the red shoes, comma, blue shoes, comma, noun. It's asking a question. Will you wear the red shoes, blue shoes, and yellow shoes? That sounds like you're going to wear all three of them at the same time. This is giving her a choice. So when we're having to make a choice like that, we're going to use the word or, another conjunction, and we're going to write yellow shoes. Yellow shoes to the ball. And it ends with a question mark because it is asking, will you wear the red shoes, blue shoes, or yellow shoes to the ball? So that's our compound sentence, adding commas and our conjunction there. So let's move on. All right, so let's look at this last one here. Does your sister want a doll for her birthday? Does your sister want a dress for her birthday? Does your sister want a car for her birthday? Now it's asking a question again. How can we combine to make one sentence using the commas and conjunctions? So notice these sentences. Does your sister want a? That's what we're going to start our sentence with. Does your sister want a, what does she want? Doll, comma, dress, comma. Now it's given her a choice, so we're going to use the conjunction or a car for her birthday. And I'm going to end it with a question mark. Does your sister want a doll, comma, dress, comma, or a car for her birthday? Right. So, all right, my friends, that is the end of this lesson. I hope you enjoyed that story, Cinderella, and we will be back here tomorrow talking about it again. Bye.